carrying 42,000 pounds of fireworks. It triggered fires and explosions that burned well into the night. At one point, an evacuation order was issued for a 3-mile radius over concerns about hazardous materials. Eventually, it was lifted.
So here's where things stand right now. That highway is still closed both directions near the Kalamazoo-Calhoun border, with traffic still being diverted. Only one fatality reported tonight. John LaRogue of Quebec, Canada, killed in that crash. Another 23 hospitalized. Hard to believe it wasn't worse, considering 193 vehicles were involved at last count, 76 of them semi-trucks.
Our team coverage continues tonight. Fox 17's Cassandra Arsenault speaking with drivers who were caught in the chaos. But first, Angela Brown is live at the scene with the latest on the cleanup efforts. Angela?
Well, just moments ago, right before we went live on air, I talked to a deputy from the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department. Believe it or not, he told me small fires are still sparking inside of those semi-trucks, and they're still out here on the scene. As you can see, take a look behind me. All of these flashing lights, there are police officers, first responders, firefighters. What you don't see out here, though, are cars. Most of the cars have been towed out of this area, but the semi-trucks are still littering the highway. Unbelievable to see, hours after two massive pileups and smoke still rising into the night sky. There's a lot of work to be done here on I94, but from what we can see, many of the cars are gone. But burned out semi-truck after semi-truck still litter the highway.
I haven't seen anything of this magnitude.
It was a terrifying situation for motorists, cars crashing into each other during two massive pileups on I94. Turning a highway full of vehicles into a junkyard, making an already dangerous situation even worse. Wolf has said he first got the call around 10 a.m.
He said I should just send everybody I can because there's something really bad going on.
Nearly 200 vehicles involved, 76 of them semis. Most of the damaged vehicles abandoned by drivers forced to leave their cars during the response. By early Friday evening, many cars had been towed away, some to Wolf's shop.
There's been a lot of cleanup going on rather than towing so far. I'd say there's about 15 vehicles here so far. Just regular collision damage. I haven't seen anything too major yet. I imagine they're still cleaning up a lot of the really bad vehicles.
While cars were being towed away, semi-trucks still clogged 94. Mangled semi after semi littered the highway well into the night. It could be a while before they are hauled out of the area as law enforcement retrace and investigate what triggered two massive pileups that killed one person. And to put this all in perspective, it's been nearly 12 hours since this whole thing started, and you can see all the crews here, and they still have a lot of work to do. They have to actually test the integrity of 94, the road out here, to see if it's even safe to drive. Before they get the results of that, they can't open 94 up until they get the results of that. So they're thinking, at last check, when I spoke to that deputy right before we went on, this road could be open, 94 could reopen between 3 and 6 in the morning. Reporting live in Kalamazoo, Angela Brown, Fox 17 News.
All right, Angela, thank you. Of course, after those initial crashes, first responders knew the trouble wasn't over.
And right there with him, Fox 17 photographer Chris Sage, who was just a few feet away when a semi hauling more than 42,000 pounds of fireworks erupted.
Look at that, just incredible to look at. Here's what Chris had to say about what happened in that very moment.
Obviously, safety always comes first, even in our jobs, but you're walking up there. Explain to me what you were feeling. Did you feel safe? And then explain to me what started happening.
I felt safe. There hadn't been any fireworks or anything cooking off for like a half an hour. Fire personnel were up there fighting the fire. I had just been making my way closer and closer, and actually the majority of the flames were farther down the road. And then all of a sudden, just a couple pops, I turned the camera and the whole thing went off. I forgot about the camera. I dove into the ditch, covered my head with my hands, waited a few minutes and looked up, and there a firefighter had crawled over to me, and on hands and knees in the ditch on the side of the highway, we crawled to safety behind vehicles.
Now that's just from his point of view. Even more terrifying being in that wreck yourself.
Fox 17's Cassandra Arsenault live now in Kalamazoo County after speaking with a few of the crash victims down there. Cassie?
Right, Christian, Janice, we've talked to many crash victims today. Some of them lucky enough and able to drive their car out tonight. Many of them have totaled and burned cars. We've been watching tow trucks come in and out tonight, and you could vividly see all the damage that has been done. Now, we actually talked to one truck driver who was driving with his partner all the way to Illinois. The other partner was resting and didn't have shoes on. He was out here for quite some time. There's many stories like that going around today, but all the victims that we talked to say the same thing. Their thoughts and prayers are with the family of the deceased driver tonight, and most of them just thankful to be alive.
That's a picture of my car there. And by the time we got stopped, we were getting ready to talk to the guy next to us in the vehicle, and that's when we got hit by a semi behind us.
Scott Rogers and Benson Bymeister are complete strangers, now connected by the horrific experience along I94. Both of their vehicles hit by 3 different semis, almost taking their lives. Scott was traveling to have breakfast with a friend.
Just complete whiteout conditions, and come up and just all of a sudden everyone stopped in front of me, so I just kind of hit my brakes, and at that moment I knew that it was just not going to happen.
Scott was hit and bumped by 3 different trucks. After he had some time, he ran for cover in a ditch, a move that possibly saved his life.
A couple seconds after that, I got sideswiped by a semi coming along. Trailer took my side of my car out, and then watched another trailer just slide right 10 feet in front of my car, and I was probably 50 yards from the explosion.
Sounds that made Scott and Benson fear for their lives.
I just got hit right in the foot. It just happened so fast, really. You're really not thinking too much.
Benson was heading to set up a booth at the Kalamazoo County Fair with 3 other co-workers.
Once we got out and were able to look at the damages, the driver's side passenger, he was pretty lucky because it ripped out the quarter panel there.
Even Scott says death missed him by a hair when the fireworks started to go off. Images that both gentlemen will probably never erase from their memories, but feeling grateful for one thing.
Walk out of something like that and narrowly miss a semi just running over the front of your car by about 10 feet and getting hit and walking out with not a scratch. It's so by the grace of God.
Now, both gentlemen are waiting for some family and friends to pick them up tonight, still waiting to get to their cars and how their cars are doing. Most people involved in the crash are doing the same. As you can see behind me, tow trucks just working above and beyond, trying to get this all cleared up by tomorrow. For now, live in Kalamazoo, Cassandra Arsenal at Fox 17 News.
Cassie, thanks for that. And as you just saw, there's still a lot of cleanup going on and lots of questions about the crash, including how it started. A big piece of that puzzle, the weather conditions at the time of the accidents.
Fox 17's Chief Meteorologist Joe Kopacek is in the Weather Center to shed some light on that part of the story. Boy, visibility had to be a big issue at that time, Joe.
Yeah, Janice, certainly was. We're talking about snow squalls coming through, and we're sitting there with unrestricted visibility as you're driving, and within seconds it goes down probably next to nothing. Here's a time lapse taking us back from about 8:30 to 9:15 in the morning. The red line you see running from east to west, that is I94. Pick up Galesburg there. You can see that. We'll zoom in just a little bit closer here, and you can see that dark shade of blue running right along I94. That's at 9:15 in the morning, approximately the time of the first crash, and heavy snow squalls coming through probably dropped that visibility. Now, we don't have an observing station at Galesburg, but the 2 closest National Weather Service reporting stations, Kalamazoo and Battle Creek, temperatures 14, 17, and the main thing is the winds out of the west running around 14 miles an hour. And at the bottom there you can see the visibility 3/4 of a mile. Now that's right at 9 o'clock. It certainly could have dropped down below that, and again, Galesburg, that visibility could have been close to 0 when that accident occurred. We can't get rid of these lake effect snow showers. Here's the latest radar. They're still going on. We zoom in just a little bit closer. They're concentrated along 96, running from around Kentwood, Grand Rapids up toward Grand Haven, Muskegon, then off to the south, still down through parts of Allegan County. If you're headed down 131, you're going to run into some. And once you get a little bit further south, they become much lighter along and south of I-94. Just some flurry activity in that direction. The other big story, the cold air. It's 9 right now at Grand Rapids, 7 at Fremont, 6 at Big Rapids. Factor in the wind. And we're talking about wind chills as they have been all day, running anywhere from about 3 below to as much as 12 below. Actually, Coldwater right now is reporting 18 degrees below zero on the wind chill. Lakeshore wind chills running around 5 below. Tomorrow morning, we're talking about some scattered snow showers. They should start to diminish overnight tonight, and temperatures still in the single numbers. When I come back, we'll talk about a warm-up on Sunday, finally getting back into the 20s. Janice.
Joe, thank you. Our coverage of today's pileups just getting started tonight. We'll continue to check in on the cleanup and see why this isn't the first time we've seen a scenario like this one on that stretch of highway. That's all coming up in the next hour.
And believe